What's up, world? It's your boy Tommy Mab, and I came to give you guys my thoughts on Carmelo Anthony. If you didn't know, Carmelo Anthony just came out and said he thought Michael Jordan was the greatest of all time, and we all know that. Which is, no, we don't all know that. Pisses me off a lot of times because I'm constantly hearing that. Michael Jordan's the greatest of all time. We all know that. No, we don't know all that. And we don't all believe that. You believe that, Carmelo, which is why you play the way that you do. And there's no knock on Carmelo Anthony, but is anybody surprised that Carmelo Anthony thinks that Michael Jordan is the greatest player of all time? Like, seriously, is there anybody who's actually surprised by that? He plays exactly like Michael Jordan did. You know what I mean? So it's like, okay, so a guy who he is forever linked to. Him and LeBron have been linked their entire careers, and LeBron, and the fact that LeBron has become as great as he has almost diminished the accomplishments that Carmelo Anthony has achieved. Even though Carmelo is a great player in his own right, I don't have a problem with Carmelo Anthony. I think it's kind of messed up how his career has gone. But that being said, I mean, let's be real. Like, Carmelo, it's not a surprise to me that Carmelo thinks that Michael Jordan's better than LeBron. They played. Carmelo is an ISO player. He patterned his game after Michael Jordan. So if he patterned his game after Michael Jordan, why should I be surprised that his favorite player of all time is Michael Jordan? And it seems par for the course, if you ask me. Nope. Oh God, do go. Yeah, I'm not. This is what I tell you before. This is what I said before. Yesterday I said to you guys, when you say something negative about LeBron James, it's all over the news, but the person who says it never is the topic of discussion. It's always just LeBron James, right? You talk about Michael Jordan, and for weeks, every time someone had something negative to say about Michael Jordan, they were talked about. Not the players, but them. They were talked about. Constantly, they were talked about. Negatively. Carmelo said something about LeBron James, and nobody is talking about Carmelo Anthony. Everybody is talking about LeBron James and the case that Melo made. Which Carmelo Anthony didn't make a case. He just literally said, well, we all know Jordan's the greatest of all time. No, we don't. We don't know that. There are plenty of people who do not think Michael... And that's what I hate about Jordan fans. First and foremost, let's also put down that Carmelo Anthony is a Jordan athlete. He was signed to Jordan. So it's kind of like, is he really, like, people like, well, that's his boy. He even saying, LeBron ain't paying his checks. Michael Jordan is. And Michael Jordan is notoriously petty, while LeBron James seems to be a very secure person who doesn't speak out. LeBron never speaks out, because LeBron's a confident dude. So you don't see LeBron walking around arguing with anybody who said, I've never seen LeBron James argue for being the greatest of all time, ever. LeBron sits back and let other people argue for him. You never see LeBron arguing himself to be the greatest of all time. He just talks about him wanting to be on the Mount Rushmore, and at the end of the day, him wanting to be seen as a great. LeBron James' game speaks for himself. Speaks for itself. LeBron didn't start calling himself the greatest of all time. People start calling LeBron the greatest of all time. LeBron said he didn't even think of himself as the greatest of all time until he came back and beat the Warriors after that 3-1 deficit. That's really the first time I ever heard LeBron James say that he thought he was the greatest of all time. But that was seen as this blasphemous statement by a Jordan fan. Oh, see, that's the cockiness of LeBron James. Wait, every player in the freaking league thinks they're the greatest player of all time. You ask Kevin Durant, I guarantee you he thinks he's the greatest player of all time. You ask Steph Curry, he probably believes he's the greatest player of all time. Anybody with accomplishments and talent probably believes they're the greatest of all time. They won't ever say it, but they all believe it. You know what I mean? Or at least believe they have the potential. LeBron James actually has a case, and it's blasphemous for him to say it. I never understand that. Because as I said about Jordan fans, they a hit dog will holler, right? Michael Jordan has been compared to many people. And he's a petty, insecure human being, right? He was compared to Vince Carter when Vince Carter was at his height. He went out of his way to pass Vince Carter. He doesn't play defense. He doesn't do this. He doesn't do that. And so Vince Carter was kind of like, look, dude, I ain't trying to be compared to Michael Jordan, right? And then Vince Carter had injury issues, and in the end, it ended up not really working out for Vince Carter. And largely his career was seen as disappointment, right? Harold Miner, remember Harold Miner? He was seen as the next Jordan. Jordan went out his way, right? Jordan always did these things. LeBron James is a very confident person. That's the difference between him and Michael Jordan. LeBron James is not an insecure person. You know what I'm saying? LeBron James has Michael Jordan as an extremely talented but extremely insecure person. And that's what people don't understand. LeBron James being secure is more manly than being insecure, right? Everybody knows that dude, that short dude that wants to fight everybody because because deep down he's insecure and people don't see him as a threat. So in his mind he has to fight to show. So he takes everything as someone saying saying that they think they can boss him around, they can push him around. You know, like the bagel guy. You know, you're not my father. You know, it's like they're constantly being seen as less than. So in their minds, it's like, well, we're constantly being seen as less than, so I have to overcompensate. You know, and then you get Napoleon complex where they're walking up in everybody's face, people they know that they're going to lose to because they're insecure people. Michael Jordan insecurity does not come from his talent. His insecurity comes from the way he looks, right? Michael Jordan grew up in a time during a era where black people were not seen as equal. They were seen as less than, right? And he grew up in a predominantly white area, right? So he was constantly being seen as less than, and he was constantly around people. That's why I tell people all the time, y'all think that shit's cool. All y'all people who go out and assimilate into white culture, and that's fine. Do what you do. But don't be surprised, especially when you have little boys, when you end up creating people like Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan, right? They become very distant, almost recluses. You know what I'm saying? Because when you are constantly around people that you don't fit in either world, you don't really fit in with black people, you don't really fit in with white people, you're kind of in your own lane. So you overcompensate and try to be more tough when you're with black people, and then you try to be more docile and reserved when you're with white people. So you're constantly juggling this identity thing. It creates so much insecurity, and you can tell that what happened with Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan was never seen the way, has never probably fit in with black people well, right? At least not black people that aren't like he was. You know what I'm saying? Which is rare. You know, back in those days, most black people were poor. They didn't, you didn't see a lot of black people in middle class, upper middle class homes. So you saw his picture, his baseball team, all white guys. You know what I'm saying? So it seems as if he gets along better with white people than he does with black people, but he's black. And then he became this larger than life figure to black people. Right? So now he has to juggle this identity of really not really fitting in with black people, but still being a role model and symbol for these people that he really has always seen as less than him. Right? So now he's juggling this because these are my biggest fans and they're buying my stuff and they're idolizing me. By the same token, I don't really like them. So, especially not ghetto black people. So Michael Jordan never really found security in who he was. So you saw him trying to act tough, saying certain things. He just never, even in conversations, you can see when he had conversations with white people, he joked around, he played around, he seemed way more comfortable. When you see him in discussions with other black people, he seems so insecure. Like, watch it, if you haven't seen that documentary, go back, watch his discussion with Barkley and the rest of on the Dream Team. He seems very, very uncomfortable, right? Then switch it over and see his discussion with his white managers, his white people. He fits in better with white people than he does with black people. And there's no knock on him. You know, that's just who he grew up around. It doesn't make him less than, doesn't make him worse than. But that does create an insecurity in you. Where I think in his mind, because he grew up in an upper middle class or upper to middle class black family, black people never respected him as being tough or being strong. So he overcompensates. LeBron James grew up in the hood. He grew up around black people. He grew up, he feels he's confident in himself. He fits in well with white people, black people, it doesn't matter because he's confident in who he is, because he doesn't change who he is. He's still LeBron James, not because LeBron James is some otherworldly guy. It's more so because LeBron James never had to change who he was. People accepted him because he was an extremely talented basketball player. So his entire life. So he never had to change to fit in. Michael Jordan had to learn to be more formal back in those days because basketball really wasn't that popular when he was growing up. You know what I'm saying? And because Michael Jordan, like I said before, it's a pattern. He learned the pattern of having to fit in both worlds. LeBron James never had to do that because people accepted him, and the people who didn't accept him, he learned earlier to just ignore them. You know what I'm saying? You never saw LeBron James arguing with people who said negative things, even when he was in high school. You know how reserved it takes for a high school kid to not lash out at a world, especially a bunch of white people yelling at you and telling you you're selfish and you're this, that, and that because your mom who's living in a freaking one-bedroom apartment bought you a Hummer. They telling you how selfish you are when your high school is making millions of dollars off you, ESPN is making millions of dollars off you, and they tell you you're selfish because you bought a Hummer. I think LeBron James got in his mind earlier that these people don't give a fuck about me. They don't care about me. They just want to see me play basketball. So I think in LeBron James' mind, he learned that he learned the F you mentality to stupid white people, right? He never cared. So they became his fans because he was a great basketball player. But you never saw LeBron James acting different than what he was. LeBron James always was a part of urban culture. He never left urban culture. He made urban culture popular culture, right? LeBron James, you didn't see LeBron James playing golf. You didn't see LeBron James doing things like you see a lot of the athletes in Jordan they do. LeBron James just was not an assimilation Negro. He never was. He was always an urban person. He was always urban black. He didn't have to fit in with black people. He just was black, and he just always acted black. Michael Jordan had to always fit in because that wasn't his culture. He didn't grow up in the hood. He didn't grow up in those circumstances. And I'm pretty sure that he grew up thinking these people were less than him. They were ignorant. They were dumb. And I think that's why you see his reaction and the way he treats black people. It's a lot harsher than he treats white people. Because in his mind, he sees... I tell people this all the time. There's a distinction, right? You got black people and you got white people, right? You got black people who understand that you know there are ignorant black people in the community, partly because of the system and partly because of their own doing, but they're just ignorant, stupid people. See, but we don't lash out at those people every time they do something stupid or lash out at all hood people because some hood people are ignorant, right? People who grow up in the hood know the vast majority of people in the hood are hardworking, decent people. You have a small percentage of people in the hood that are bad people, but they are the ones. But the hardworking, decent people are never going to do anything to get their face in the paper. They're never going to do anything that's going to be newsworthy. So therefore, the face of the hood are criminals, are drug dealers, are bad. And those bad people, I mean, you have got to, it gets to a point where you just don't, that people don't understand it. These people are different types of people. They're not all hood people. There's hood people and there's bad people. But people who do not grow up in the hood, and I know this from a lot of people, middle class, suburban black people, They think because they're black that we're all the same. We're not. There are upper class blacks, there's middle class blacks, and then there's lower class blacks, right? You do not understand a lower class black's plight because you're black. You just don't, right? You see police brutality through television. You don't usually deal with it on a daily basis. When you grow up in that area, when you grow up in those areas, there's way more interaction with police, right? There's way more interaction with racism, with classism, with having less than and being treated less than when you grow up in the suburban area, right? When you grow up in the suburban area, yes, you deal with racism, but you deal with a different type of racism. You deal with racism like an Asian kid deals with racism. You know what I mean? Or a Hispanic deals with racism. You're not dealing with the worst part of racism. You're dealing with the cultural, social part of racism. When a person grows up in the hood, you're dealing with real racism, meaning racism that can get you killed, racism by both black and white people. Because people, quiet as it kept, the problem with the police is not only that they kill black people, it's because they don't do a good job of taking the bad black people out. They do a good job of harassing the good ones, but they are terrible at actually putting the bad ones in jail. You know what I'm saying? So black people lose respect more, but that's not my point. My point is there's a classism that people need to understand, right? LeBron James grew up in that, the grime, the dirt. You know what I'm saying? Being treated like less than, being seen as another criminal, being seen as somebody even black people look down on, right? That's what a ghetto kid understands. That's what a ghetto kid knows. Just because you black, it does not mean you're not racist. Black people are some of the most racist people you will ever find. And most of them, I grew up in a place, right? Where I grew up, right? I'm tongue tied like a mud. I grew up in a place, in a hood, where I had a next door neighbor who told her kid he couldn't hang out with me because she said that I was a bad ghetto kid, right? When I was like 8 or 9 years old. She told him he couldn't hang out with me, right? Little as she know, her son stole all the time. Everybody around the hood knew him as a criminal. But in her mind, she was better. They was better than everybody else in the ghetto, right? So the problem with being lower class and black is that you deal with racism from your own community, aside from racism from other low class minorities who somehow think they're better than you, right? Because you're black. Asians think they're better than you. Mexicans think they're better than you. I mean, not Mexican, but Latinos think they're better than you. You know what I mean? Middle Eastern people think they're better than you. All these people think they're better than you because you're black, including other black people. So at the end of the day, that's the difference between Michael Jordan and LeBron James. LeBron knows what that is. So that's why you'll hear LeBron speak out more on these issues, because LeBron James is not speaking out because he wants to be known as a freedom fighter. LeBron speaks out on these issues because he can clearly resonate with the people that it's affecting. Michael Jordan can't, because he's not connected to his community. He's not connected to his community in that way, to where he's gonna feel that sting like LeBron James is. As I said before, of course, Michael Jordan has dealt with racism. I'm pretty sure he's dealt with racism in his life. But that does not mean that he does not, when he deals with racism, he does not blame the racist person. He blames the black kid in the ghetto who gives the bad idea to the white person, right? That's who he blames. He says if these ignorant NIGGAs wouldn't stop acting so ignorant, then these people wouldn't be treating me so bad. That's how upper class or middle class black people see racism. your Jason Whitlocks, those type of guys. They think in their mind, if black people would stop doing ignorant things, then white people wouldn't be so racist, and my life would be a lot better, because that's how racism affects them. In the same way that it affects the Asian and the Latino. You get what I'm saying? They don't like being ostracized from the community. So their anger is geared towards the black people that perpetuate stereotypes, instead of the people who are ignorant for believing all black people are that way because of the stereotype. That's who Michael Jordan was. But I got off track. My point in saying that is, I am not surprised that Carmelo Anthony sees Michael Jordan in the way that he does. I mean, he plays exactly like Michael Jordan. I look at Carmelo Anthony and I see an ISO player whose main gift is scoring at the expense of his team. ISO, ball stopper, shooting a lot of times, not efficiently taking shots, scoring 30 points, 30, 40 points a game while your team is losing. Doesn't matter because you scored 40, even though you have 2 assists and 3 rebounds. So that's my mindset. Of course, Carmelo Anthony will say that. That's the one thing. Michael Jordan does what he did, but better, and he got paraded around for it. That's who created the way he played. You know what I'm saying? He cut off the same cloth that all those late 90s, early 2000s players were. Get yours. If you win or lose, it doesn't matter, because you win by scoring a bunch of points. Jordan made that terrible pattern of making people believe you can shoot a bunch of shots and will your team to winning, because they're too stupid to realize Jordan didn't will his team to winning. Jordan had a really good team, and so it didn't matter that he shot so much, because he was able to get away with it. You can't be Tracy McGrady doing that. You're going to lose. You can't be Steve Francis doing that. You're going to lose. You can't be Allen Iverson doing that. You're going to lose. Way more than you win, because when you isolate the ball and you keep the ball in one person's hands, yes, that person may score points, but it's going to make the other people around him extremely useless. They're going to be useless because when they get shots up, they're not going to be warmed up. It's going to be, I get one shot and then I may not get another shot until next quarter. How in the world can I stay geared up? How can I stay warm? How can my shot stay on when I don't know when I'm going to get another shot? When you got somebody like Scottie Pippen, you come in and run the offense through him, yeah, it doesn't matter. You just take Jordan out for a couple minutes, let everybody else get warm shooting the ball with Scottie Pippen, and then it equals itself back out. You can't do that with Tracy McGrady because he doesn't have a Scottie Pippen. You can't do that with a Steve Francis. He does not have a Scottie Pippen who can come in and make up for what he did with all his shooting. And yes, there are plenty of games where Jordan won games for them because Jordan was able to Jordan was on. So there's gonna be a game where you're on and then his shot is falling and he shoots so much that it's gonna look ridiculous because he's shooting way more than everybody else. And if his shot is falling and he's shooting 40 times, you're going to have an 81-point game like Kobe did. Or a 60-point game like Jordan used to do all the time. Or a 45, 50-point game if you're on. But if you're not on, you're going to kill your team. So the team wins and loses by your shot and your shot selection, which a lot of times is terrible because you just shoot every time you're down the floor. Until you get tired and then you pass it off for a second, but the minute you pass it off, you want it right back. So it's hard for you to get in type of groove if you're a role player when you're playing alongside somebody like that. Unless you got, like I said, a Scottie Pippen who you can pull that guy out and say, Mike, sit for a little while, just get your rest. He's thinking in his mind, well, they're just giving me some rest. But really, Phil Jackson is saying, dude, you're killing our offense right now. Let's take this. Let's get this situated. Scotty, get back in there. Let's get everybody back in sync because Mike's knocked us all out of sync, shooting 20 times. So Scotty, get us back in sync, and then when we cut the lead down a little bit, hopefully we can send him back in, and his shots can start falling. That's the only thing we can hope for, because if his shots are not falling, we're gonna lose. Which is why you see a lot of those games are 99 to 97. 90, 100 to 97. A lot of his games were close. Not because the competition was good, but because Jordan didn't care about winning. He cared about winning when he was the star player. He didn't want to win if Scottie Pippen had a better game. He didn't want to win if Horace Grant had a better game. He only wanted to win if he was the marquee. So anyways, I just wanted to say that because, like I said, I know I got into more philosophical discussion, which kind of sent in circles. But my end game and my point in saying what I was saying was just saying, look, I'm not surprised Carmelo Anthony thought the way he thought or did things he did. I mean, or said what he said. I just, yeah, that makes sense. Carmelo Anthony plays like Michael Jordan. He would see a scorer as being the greatest player of all time. That's a skill set he looks for. That's a skill set he is adopted. So why would he not? Why would he not see those things as being important, the most important things? Or if he thought LeBron James' game was more conducive to being the greatest of all time, then he would have played like LeBron James. He doesn't. He plays like Michael Jordan. So if so facto, he's going to think Michael Jordan is the greatest of all time, or he would have patterned his game after years of doing it the wrong way. You would think he would say, maybe I should start playing more like LeBron. He didn't. He continued to play like Michael Jordan, which is why he never won anything, and ended up largely with people looking at his career as a, you know what I mean? It's like, yes, he was uber talented, but he was a ball stopper who played like Jordan without a Pippen. So, yes, he's a great player. Love Melo. You know what I'm saying? I think Melo is one of the greatest players that ever played the game. But he will never be seen in the same pantheon as LeBron, D. Wade, you know what I'm saying? Not even really Chris Bosh anymore. He won't even be on Barkley's level. When it's all said and done, Carmelo Anthony is one of the biggest tragedies I've seen as far as how his talent was misused and how he misused his talent. And the narrative ran away. I think if he can somehow find a way to get on the Lakers, I think he can save that legacy by winning the championship, or he'll be seen as a great one of the greats. But if he does not, when he's done playing, a lot of people would not see him as one of the greats. He'll be one of these people from 10, 15 years from now that when you look back at his career, you can say, wow, yeah, you remember that guy Carmelo Anthony for the Knicks? You know what I mean? Kind of like Bernard King. Like, Knicks fans will know him, but the rest of the NBA, he will be impartial to his legacy. Man, he's just a guy who could score. And it sucks because he was such a talented player. And but as I said before, scores are a dime a dozen in the NBA. There are so many people who can score. There's not a lot of people who can score while still do what LeBron James do. Throughout history, you have plenty of people that can chunk a bunch of shots. Somebody like LeBron is rare, man. And that's why I say he's the greatest of all time. LeBron is rare, dude. Someone who can pass like Magic Johnson. You know what I'm saying? Take you off the dribble like freaking Karl Malone / Charles Barkley. Who you want to say? Big enough to body you, dominant inside like a Shaq, shoot the mid range like Jordan does, yet still is lethal from the 3-point shot like a guard. So you're sitting there looking like, okay, so you find somebody. Jordan was not the 3-point shooter LeBron is. Jordan was not the physical force inside that LeBron is. He couldn't pass like LeBron does. He couldn't run an offense like LeBron does. He couldn't anchor a defense like LeBron does. Did. Sorry, not does. Did. I'm sorry. LeBron James, to me, is the greatest player of all time because ain't nobody, you will never find another LeBron. Okay, how long will it take you to find a guy that big, that athletic, that smart, and still that ego, that humble? Not humble as in I think LeBron James is some altruistic. No, I'm not saying humble in that sense. I'm saying humble enough to understand that they need other people to accent their talent, their abilities, their tendencies. He understands I need these players to accent what I do. So he's humble enough to understand how much he needs his teammates. You're never gonna find anybody like that. You're not. I mean, you can try to say Giannis will never be the shooter LeBron is. He can try all he wants. Giannis will never be LeBron. He can't pass like LeBron. He does not have LeBron's smarts to understand defenses the way LeBron James does. And he does not. And he will never have LeBron's court vision. He will never have LeBron's shot ability to shoot off the dribble, with turnarounds, post moves. I mean, LeBron James is a student of the game. Skill-wise, there's never been a player like LeBron that can jump on point, switch around your team. LeBron can be whatever you need him to be. You want him to be in the post? Okay, LeBron, we need you to be in the post a little bit right now because they're starting to do this. Okay, LeBron can take you on the post. He sat with Hakeem Olajuwon, trained with him, and learned all his moves. Right, so he can still do all the post moves like a big man. Right. Then he got with Kyle Korver and developed a 3-point shot. Right. So he does that. Now he's shooting threes at 40%, right? Then they switch to and then you talk about passing. The guy understands the game. I mean, this man learned 3-point shooting from Ray Allen, Kyle Korver. These are the best 3-point shooters of all time. And he developed certain things from each of them. He's a student of the game. LeBron honed himself into what he is. He was not that when he first got into the league. Well, he was smart enough to realize if I want to be seen as the greatest of all time, I have to figure. I do not rely like Jordan did on the things I can do well. That's why the bad boy Pippins were able to minimize Jordan, because his game was very easy to minimize. All he did was use his athletic ability to get to the rim. Therefore, set a perimeter up and bang him up when he goes inside. He's gonna still try to force it inside because he can't shoot. He couldn't shoot the 3-point, and his mid-range was iffy at the time. So Jordan was not a student of the game. He just knew he just was a really good basketball player, a really athletic basketball player that was able to get away with being extremely athletic at a time where they couldn't play zone. So they couldn't play zone, and people keep saying, "Well, you can hand check back then." But yeah. But we watched the highlights. People got blown by. All of us have played street ball before. Hand checking is the most overrated thing in the world. We've all played street ball. We hand check forever. If you grew up playing basketball, you understand hand checking is not that important. Because most of the time, you only going to do it when they're in front of you. Once they get past you, nobody's going to allow you to grab them and pull them back. So hand checking really just helps you somewhat keep someone in front of you. But if they're quick, it doesn't matter. They're getting around you. The people act like they was offensive linemen or something, like, holding people. Like, no, they weren't. You can put your hand on somebody and kind of somewhat guide them towards an area, but why would you need to do that when you can play zone? I don't need to guide you to an area when my guy can just stay in a soft zone. If he can stay in a soft zone, I don't need to guide you over there, because they had to do that because that was the way the defenses were set up. You couldn't play zone. So they had to use the hand check to kind of somewhat push people into a certain area where the other person could come and help out on them. But now they don't have to do that. You can buzz. So these people who are buzzing around, they can buzz. And the illegal defenses ain't going to be all on them because they can buzz around. They can still pay attention, and you don't have to be led over that. They just have a certain part. So please understand, man, like Jordan, these lies that they put forth to put Jordan on top, I would never understand. Anyways, I just wanted to say that, please, comment, subscribe if you haven't, and like the comment if you have. All right, y'all. Peace.